I'm in this body! I'm fucking trapped in here!
Remember when horror movies didn't just scare you, they scarred you? The 1990s weren't playing around. We're talking about the decade that turned your bathroom mirror into a gateway to hell, made you afraid of your own VHS player, and had an entire generation sleeping with the lights on. These aren't just movies. They're the reason you still check under your bed. From practical effects that looked way too real to storylines that haunted your dreams, these 25 films didn't just define horror. They defined your childhood fears. Candyman, 1992.
And what's behind the mirror?
You think saying Bloody Mary is scary? Try Candyman 5 times. Based on Clive Barker's story, this urban legend brought real-world horror into our bathrooms forever. Tony Todd's haunting performance as the hook-handed spirit earned him a place in horror history, and some painful memories. Fun fact, he got stung 23 times during filming and earned $1,000 per sting. The movie broke new ground by tackling racial injustice while scaring us senseless. Director Bernard Rose shot those terrifying mirror scenes using practical effects that still hold up today. That infamous Cabrini Green housing project, it was a real place, which makes everything even creepier. And let's be honest, who doesn't still get a little nervous in bathrooms with big mirrors? Scream, 1996.
I know who I'm looking at.
Do you like scary movies? With those 5 words, Wes Craven revolutionized horror and made us all terrified of phone calls. This wasn't your typical slasher. It was smart, self-aware, and absolutely terrifying. Did you know Drew Barrymore was originally cast as Sydney, but chose to film that iconic opening scene instead? It took 7 days just to shoot those first 13 minutes. The ghost face mask? They found it by accident during location scouting. The film cost $14 million to make and raked in $173 million worldwide. Craven kept the killer's identity secret from the cast until the final reveal. That's why the reactions feel so real. The movie single-handedly revived the slasher genre and spawned 3 sequels in the 90s alone. Now that's what I call killer success. The Sixth Sense, 1999.
Baby, why are you shaking?
Before M. Night Shyamalan became known for twists, he created this masterpiece that changed how we see ghost stories. Shot in Philadelphia for $40 million, it earned a whopping $673 million worldwide and 6 Oscar nominations. The color red appears in every scene that has a supernatural presence. Go back and check. Haley Joel Osment beat out 6,000 other kids for the role of Cole, and he still gives us chills with that "I see dead people" line. The hospital scene with all those hanging bodies, that was done in 1 take. Bruce Willis took a pay cut to be in this film because he believed in the script so much. The truth is, this movie didn't just scare us, it made us question everything we thought we knew about life, death, and that cold spot in the corner of our rooms. Event Horizon, 1997. Here's a space horror that makes Alien look like a walk in the park. This Nightmare Factory cost $60 million to make and was actually cut down from a much gorier version. The original cut was so disturbing that test audiences walked out. Sam Neill's performance as the corrupted Dr. Weir still gives people nightmares. Director Paul W.S. Anderson shot those hell sequences using real human anatomy diagrams as inspiration. The ship's design was based on Notre Dame Cathedral, turned inside out. That infamous eyes scene wasn't even in the original script. It was added during reshoots. The Latin phrase, "liberate me," appears throughout the film, meaning, save me. Pretty ironic for a movie where no one gets saved. Space madness never looked so terrifying. In the Mouth of Madness, 1994. Remember when reading was supposed to be safe? John Carpenter's twisted tribute to H.P. Lovecraft changed all that. Sam Neill stars as an insurance investigator tracking down a horror novelist whose books literally drive people insane. The production team created over 50 different practical effects to achieve those mind-bending reality shifts. That creepy blue cover of Sutter Kane's books? They printed 300 of them just for background shots. The movie was shot in Toronto over 40 nights, with temperatures dropping below freezing. That bicycle scene that still haunts your dreams? They filmed it in reverse to create that unnatural movement. Though it only made $8.9 million at the box office, it's become a certified cult classic. The church scene alone took 5 days to shoot, and those weren't extras. They were actual horror fans who volunteered. Good luck walking into a bookstore without checking over your shoulder now. The Faculty, 1998.
Now, these 6 students won't just...
High school wasn't scary enough, so Robert Rodriguez decided to add alien parasites to the mix. Written by Scream's Kevin Williamson, this film combined teenage angst with body horror in ways we'd never seen before. Josh Hartnett shaved his head on camera in one take. No movie magic there. The film's budget was $15 million, and those practical effects for the alien queen, pure nightmare fuel created by KNB Effects Group. That famous drug test scene with the pen? It took 16 takes to get right, and they used over 100 pens during filming. Elijah Wood actually passed out during one of the underwater scenes. Talk about method acting. The movie cleverly referenced classic sci-fi films like Invasion of the Body Snatchers while creating its own unique horror. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, 1995.
A race against time!
Back when Tales from the Crypt jumped to the big screen, they brought Billy Zane along for one hell of a ride. As the Collector, Zane improvised many of his demonic one-liners, creating a villain that's both terrifying and charismatic. The makeup team spent 5 hours daily transforming the possessed characters, using over 100 gallons of fake blood throughout filming. That glowing green key fluid, actually UV reactive gel that required special lighting. The film cost $13 million to make and earned back $21 million. Modest numbers, but it launched a new era of horror comedy. Fun fact, they built that entire boarding house set from scratch, including all the demon-proof barriers. Director Ernest Dickerson shot the film in sequence to build tension naturally. The cast went through demon movement training to nail those possessed scenes. Wes Cravens' New Nightmare, 1994. Talk about meta-horror. Craven wrote himself and the original cast into this mind-bending take on Freddy Krueger. Heather Langenkamp plays herself dealing with a real-world stalker while Freddy tries to break into our reality. Robert Englund appears both as himself and as a darker, more terrifying version of Freddy. The production used 20% of its $8 million budget just on the practical effects for the new Freddy design. That earthquake scene? Shot during actual LA aftershocks from the Northridge quake. The film earned just $19.7 million, but revolutionized meta-horror years before Scream. Every nightmare sequence was filmed with different color temperatures to create subtle unease. The script took Craven 3 years to perfect, and those creepy phone calls, based on real stalker calls Langenkamp received. Arachnophobia, 1990. Looking for the exact moment an entire generation developed a fear of spiders? This is it. Frank Marshall's directorial debut used over 300 real Avondale spiders from New Zealand, plus thousands of mechanical ones. They hired a spider wrangler named Stephen Kutcher, who who developed innovative techniques to make spiders move on command, including using vibrating dental floss. The production team built special sets with hollow walls to film those terrifying spider sequences. Star Jeff Daniels wasn't acting during most of his scared reactions. He actually hates spiders. Each spider scene required up to 15 takes to get the perfect creepy crawly movement. The big bad spider was a mechanical prop that took 8 people to operate. They even had to get special insurance just for the spider scenes. The film cost $31 million to make and earned $53.2 million at the box office. The American Arachnological Society praised its scientific accuracy, which somehow makes it even scarier. Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, 1992. Pinhead broke free from his puzzle box prison and straight into our world in this urban nightmare. Doug Bradley spent 4 hours daily in makeup to become Pinhead, with each pin individually inserted into a headpiece. The film's budget was tight at $3 million, but they still created over 200 practical effects shots. Those nightclub scenes, shot in an actual abandoned club in North Carolina. The crew built that massive Pinhead statue from scratch. It took 6 weeks to complete. Director Anthony Hickox insisted on practical effects over CGI, resulting in some genuinely disturbing transformations. The famous church scene used real stained glass windows that had to be replaced after filming. Terry Farrell trained for 2 weeks to do her own stunts. The movie made $12.5 million worldwide and features one of horror's most memorable death scenes involving a DJ and some very creative body horror. Tremors, 1990. Who knew the ground beneath our feet could be so terrifying? Those huge subterranean monsters called graboids were built full-size and cost $400,000 each. The film crew actually lived in the tiny desert town of Lone Pine, California during the 3-month shoot, dealing with real dust storms and 120-degree heat. Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward did many of their own stunts, including that famous pole vaulting scene. The sound designers mixed tiger roars, snake hisses, and pig squeals to create the graboids' distinctive sounds. Each monster puppet required 6 operators and could move at speeds of up to 15 miles per hour. The movie cost $11 million to make and initially flopped at the box office, but found massive success on home video, spawning 6 sequels. The original script was titled Land Sharks, and the creatures were originally meant to be visible above ground. Fire in the Sky, 1993. Based on Travis Walton's alleged real-life alien abduction in 1975, this film turned UFO encounters into pure psychological horror. The production spent $15 million creating some of the most terrifying alien examination scenes ever filmed. Those medical tools used by the aliens, designed by actual surgeons for maximum realism. The film's alien design broke from traditional gray aliens, creating something far more disturbing. The interior of the spacecraft was built entirely upside down to create that disorienting effect. D.B. Sweeney, who played Walton, spent over 100 hours in the makeup chair for various stages of medical testing. Industrial Light and Magic created the exterior UFO effects, using techniques that were revolutionary for 1993. The real Travis Walton served as a consultant on set. The film earned $19.4 million at the box office and remains one of the most realistic depictions of alien abduction in cinema history. From Dusk Till Dawn, 1996, nobody expected a crime thriller to suddenly explode into vampire horror, and that's exactly why this film traumatized unsuspecting viewers. Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino created this genre-bending masterpiece for $20 million, with most of that going to the practical vampire effects. Tom Savini designed over 150 different vampire makeup variations, each taking 4 hours to apply. The infamous Titty Twister bar set took 6 weeks to build and was completely functional. The snake dance scene? Salma Hayek had to overcome her intense fear of snakes to film it with a real python. K&B Effects Group created 13 different types of vampire deaths, using over 200 gallons of fake blood. The film earned $25.8 million domestically and launched a franchise. Those vampire transformations used minimal CGI. Almost everything was done with practical effects and clever editing. Night of the Demons 3, 1997. The final entry in the original Night of the Demons trilogy pushed practical effects to their limits. Director Jim Kaufman insisted on creating every demon transformation practically, resulting in some of the most disturbing makeup effects of the 90s. The abandoned Hull House set was actually a condemned hospital in Montreal, and crew members reported strange occurrences during night shoots. Lead makeup artist Adrian Moreau spent over 200 hours creating the various demon designs. Each possession sequence required between 12 to 15 different prosthetic stages. The infamous lipstick scene paid homage to the original while using advanced hydraulic effects. Despite a modest budget of $2.5 million, the film showcased nearly 100 practical effects shots. The production used over 50 gallons of fake blood and employed innovative blacklight techniques for the demon eyes. The Borrower, 1991. Body horror reached new heights in this overlooked gem where an alien criminal must steal human heads to survive. The production team, led by special effects master Kevin Yeager, created 7 different stages of head transformation effects. Each head-ripping scene used a combination of animatronics and breakaway prosthetics, costing approximately $50,000 per shot. Director John McNaughton shot the film in Chicago's abandoned industrial districts, adding genuine urban decay to the horror. The alien design went through 25 different iterations before landing on the final version. Those transformation sequences, all practical effects, using hydraulic rigs and early motion control cameras. The movie cost $6 million to make, but only saw a limited theatrical release. The sound design mixed animal roars with industrial noise to create the alien's distinctive sounds. Body Parts, 1991. Before Jeff Fahey played in Lost, he starred in this psychological horror about transplanted body parts with murderous minds of their own. Director Eric Red worked with real transplant surgeons to make the medical scenes disturbingly accurate. The production used over 30 different prosthetic arms, each costing $8,000 and taking 3 days to create. That car crash sequence, shot practically with 5 cameras and real vehicles. The surgery scenes required such detailed props that several medical students asked to observe the set design. Brad Dourif spent 4 hours daily in makeup for his character's scarring. The film's $10 million budget went primarily to practical effects and stunt work. Paramount actually delayed the release due to Jeffrey Dahmer's real-life crimes making headlines. Nightbreed, 1990. Clive Barker's monster-filled masterpiece used more practical creature effects than any other horror film of the decade. The production employed 150 makeup artists and created over 200 unique monster designs. Cronenberg's performance as Dr. Decker required minimal makeup, but became one of horror's most unsettling villains. Those underground Midian scenes, built entirely as practical sets with functioning mechanics. The film cost $11 million to make, with nearly half going to creature effects. That final battle sequence used over 800 practical effects shots. Each major creature required 4 to 6 hours of makeup application daily. Despite bombing at release with just $8.9 million, it's become a cult classic. The director's cut, released years later, restored 45 minutes of additional monster footage and practical effects. Castle Freak, 1995. Stuart Gordon brought us another H.P. Lovecraft-inspired nightmare, this time in an Italian castle. Star Jeffrey Combs stayed in the actual 12th century castle during filming, reporting strange noises at night. The freak's makeup took 7 hours to apply daily, with actor Jonathan Fuller unable to eat or drink while wearing it. The production used nearly 30 gallons of fake blood, all mixed with different viscosities for various effects. Those dungeon scenes? Shot in real medieval dungeons beneath the castle. The film was made for just $2.1 million, but featured over 50 practical effects sequences. The sound team recorded real chain rattling in the castle's torture chamber for authenticity. Every injury shown on the freak was based on actual medieval torture methods. Barbara Crampton insisted on doing her own stunts for all the chase sequences. The Dentist, 1996, Corbin Burnson, transformed a routine dental visit into pure psychological horror. Director Brian Yuzna worked with actual dental surgeons to ensure medical accuracy, making everything more disturbing. The production used over 100 different dental props, each meticulously detailed. Those extreme close-up scenes? Shot with specialized micro cameras typically used in real dental procedures. The makeup team created 15 different stages of tooth decay and damage, each taking hours to apply. Despite its low $2.5 million budget, the film used groundbreaking practical effects for the dental horror scenes. Real dentists praised its technical accuracy while condemning its terrifying portrayal of their profession. The sound design mixed actual dental drill recordings with modified power tool sounds. The Resurrected, 1991. This adaptation of Lovecraft's The Case of Charles Dexter Ward pushed practical creature effects to new limits. Director Dan O'Bannon insisted on building full-scale sets for the underground laboratory scenes. The production team created over 25 different stages of decomposition makeup, each more disturbing than the last. Those creature transformations? All practical effects using hydraulic mechanisms and foam latex. Chris Sarandon played dual roles, requiring complex split-screen techniques for several scenes. The film cost $5 million to make, but looked twice as expensive thanks to innovative practical effects. The basement creatures required 6 puppeteers each to operate. Real medical equipment was modified to create the period-accurate laboratory tools. Every experiment scene used actual chemical reactions for authenticity. The Dark Half, 1993. George Romero directing Stephen King should have been a slam dunk hit. The production actually trained thousands of sparrows for those apocalyptic bird scenes. Timothy Hutton spent hours studying recordings of psychopaths to nail his dual role. The makeup team created several versions of decomposing pseudonyms using groundbreaking animatronics. That typewriter scene? Used real antique typewriters modified with radio controls. The film cost $15 million to make and showcased over 300 practical effects shots. Julie Harris insisted on doing her own stunts during the bird attack sequences. The production used innovative split-screen techniques for the twin scenes that influenced films for years. Every book cover shown in the movie was specially designed and printed for the film. Ticks, 1993. Before he directed Cloverfield, Tony Gardner created this practical effects masterpiece about mutant ticks. The production team built 400 puppet ticks, each capable of different movements. Those transformation scenes use cutting-edge animatronics that cost nearly $1 million to create. Carlton's growing tick required 13 different stages of makeup effects. The film used early CGI sparingly, relying instead on practical effects for most creature shots. Young Seth Green performed many of his own stunts during the tick attacks. The sound design mixed insect noises with modified pig squeals for the tick's sounds. Despite its modest $3 million budget, the film features over 150 practical effects shots. Real entomologists consulted on tick behavior to make the mutations more believable. And there you have it. 25 reasons why we're all still a little jumpy around mirrors, basements, and clowns. The 90s might be gone, but these nightmares, they're still going strong. Sweet dreams, if you can still have them.